Live from Los Angeles, California, and San Francisco, California. It's the Daily Tech News Show pre-show show.
Ooh. I've heard you do better.
I got surprised.
By what? You pushed the button.
Well, I pushed the button and I was quiet for the pre-recorded pre-show, and I realized, well, that's too much quiet, and I was about to say something, and then it went live right then, and I was like, panic.
Gotcha. It happens.
Hello, England. Zoe Brings Bacon said hello, California in the chat room.
Oh. Hello, Zoe.
I might possibly, don't want to get your hopes up, English person, pretty much just meaning Zoe right now when I say that. I might be going to England this autumn. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Oh, what for?
Wedding.
A wedding.
Not my own. But
yes, I would imagine not.
Mine was in the past, so I won't be time traveling and changing the location of my wedding.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope that works out. That would be fun. That would be very exciting.
That would be awesome. I haven't been there in a long time.
I told Eileen if we go to England, then we have to go to Ireland too. She's never been to Ireland.
I've never been either.
Ireland's great.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Ireland's delicious.
Like food-wise,
Yeah.
or
They have the delicious food and the drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What did you think
And
of
the
that other than
drinks.
food-wise?
I don't know, like just delicious
Like
scenery.
hot people.
I don't know. I really don't know.
All right. Those Ireland people, they delicious.
Smoking.
Oh,
Thanks
thank you, Zoe.
for putting up with my absence last week.
Oh yeah. How'd your week go?
Pretty good. I'm eating mostly regular food now,
Oh right.
so that's good.
Yeah. All so your mouth is healed,
No, it's not healed, but
Still hurts.
it's getting there.
but it's getting there.
Yeah,
Oh well.
I don't have to only eat mac and cheese now.
Well, could be worse.
I know it could be worse.
I love English bacon.
Still talking about British stuff,
Well,
huh?
Zoe Brings Bacon, who brings bacon, says that English bacon is great, which it is. All right, shall we go? Do you feel
Yeah,
prepared?
1 second. I think so.
Oh, and if you're wondering where Roger is, he's off today. He will be back tomorrow.
Fancy.
Good for Roger. All right, here we go.
The Daily Tech News Show is powered by its audience and many Texans, not outside organizations. To support the Daily Tech News Show, visit dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, March 20th, 2017. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today is Ms. Veronica Belmont. Welcome back. How's your mouth?
My throat and mouth are doing much better. Thank you for asking. I'm on to more solid foods, although I can't complain about a week and a half's worth of mac and cheese.
Really? That was the upshot of this? Was you had to eat nothing but mac and cheese?
I could eat mac and cheese and mashed potatoes and like
Kinda sounds
udon
awesome.
noodles, pretty much.
You get tired of anything after that long. But if you were to explain to somebody's like, wait, what happened to Veronica? How are you explaining it in the least gross manner?
That's a really good question. There's no good way. You could say I expanded my soft palate for better breathability.
Yeah, it was a remodel.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a remodel.
You remodeled your mouth. All right. Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. Well, I hope it works. Hope it was worth it. Let's start with a few tech things you should know. Nintendo announced its Super Mario Run mobile game will arrive for Android on March 23rd. Boop. Vodafone India has reached an agreement to merge with Idea Cellular to form the largest mobile carrier in India at an estimated 377 million subscribers.
Wow.
That's like, I don't know if that's quite twice, but that's way bigger than AT&T or Verizon in the US.
That's insane. Yeah.
Qualcomm introduced the 205 mobile platform that allows inexpensive smartphones and feature phones to connect to LTE networks. She looking for
Awesome.
those phones in Q2. And now here are some more top stories. Uber president Jeff Jones confirmed a report by Recode that he is, in fact, leaving the company. Jones came over from Target in September 2016, so he hasn't been there that long. He told Reuters, "The beliefs and approach to leadership that have guided my career are inconsistent with what I saw and experienced at Uber, and I can no longer continue as president of the ride-sharing business."
So the beliefs and approach to leadership that have guided my career are inconsistent with what I saw and experienced at Uber, and I can no longer continue as president of the ride-sharing business.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he has certain beliefs and approaches to leadership that he tries to follow.
And those are inconsistent with what he saw at Uber.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a weird order to phrase that.
It's a very carefully phrased thing, right?
Yes.
But it's not positive. It's basically saying, I approach things this way. That's inconsistent with the way they approach things. I'm out.
Some people were questioning too whether or not, since Travis was planning to bring on a new COO to help him manage the company, that maybe that new COO would become the de facto second in command, thus replacing Jeff Jones in that position. So maybe he was unhappy that he would have to answer to someone else. That was one idea that I saw floated around there too.
Hard to say what's in Jones' mind. He seems to try to downplay that, saying, no, it doesn't have much to do with that. But I mean, even if it doesn't, there's plenty of things that Uber has been doing that you could look at and say, oh, okay, you bring in Jeff Jones to clean up the image, and he finds out the image is a lot dirtier and getting dirtier day by day. He may just wash his hands of this dirty image.
I mean, at that point, you're kind of doing triage on your own career.
Yeah.
At that point.
Exactly. Uber's vice president of maps and business platform, Brian McClendon, also announced he's leaving the company at the end of March to pursue politics, though. And he's going to stay on as an advisor. So this is an amicable departure. It's, hey, I've got a different interest. I want to go do this thing. But, we're leaving on good terms.
Or unless it's a long con and he hates Uber and he's going into politics to create prohibitive legislation that will prevent the spread of their self-driving vehicle plans.
But then why would he stay as an advisor? Oh,
so he can know what's going on the inside. Yeah.
Isn't that illegal? Would that be illegal?
What do they care about legality?
Yeah, exactly.
They just go around regulation anyway.
That's consistent with his beliefs and approach to leadership.
I'm just joking. I have no information on that.
We don't believe that that's what Mr. McClendon is going to do at all. But it sounds like this one just kind of happens to be timed, unfortunately, for the optics of the situation. But McClendon seems to be leaving totally on the ups. And actually, in all seriousness, probably the opposite of what you're saying may be true, which is he's going to go and push for more lenient regulation of ride-hailing services.
Well, speaking of companies with a history of dubious legality, Samsung announced its new smartphone voice assistant, Bixby. Samsung says Bixby can take complete control of supported apps and be aware of the context when activated while using the app. A few pre-installed apps will work with Bixby at launch, and an SDK will be available for developers. A dedicated button on the side of the Samsung phones will activate Bixby, which launches on the forthcoming Galaxy S8 and will come to other devices, including home appliances, later.
Proof remains to be seen how good this will be, if it's an improvement over the S-Voice services. There's some confusion over how much the Viv team, which is, the co-founders of the original Siri team that Samsung acquired, it's unclear how much they had to do with Bixby. But honestly, my problem with this is the same thing I have with Siri, which is when it's tied to a company's platform, I'm less likely to get enthusiastic about it because I know I'm not going to be able to use it on every device because I'm not going to only buy, in Siri's case, Apple, but in Bixby's case, Samsung devices.
But I mean, this is a problem across the board. We don't have any real true cross-platform AI at this point that are as smart as probably the ones that are out there already, like the Echo Assistant.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon Voice Services has an API that lots of different companies can take advantage of. So it's not an open platform, but it is cross-platform technically. Technically,
but I guess, but it's not the same account tied across multiple devices. And that's, I think, what people are really, truly looking for. I just like it because it's called Bixby, and that's the name of my friend's cat that has thumbs.
Is that named after Bill Bixby? the actor?
I don't think so.
Bruce Banner.
I also appreciate a non-gender specific name for a virtual assistant.
Bixby. You know what? Because of Bill Bixby, I was thinking of Bixby as being male, to be honest. But you're right. Doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be.
And Siri doesn't have to be either. None of them do.
That's true.
My Siri is a British man because I wanted a very Jeeves-like assistant.
Then the not to be named Amazon assistant is decidedly female.
Yes, there's no other way around.
Yeah.
Al.
I guess you could just call it Al.
As I may call her from time to time. All right, Intel announced the first large capacity product with 3D crosspoint memory, the Optane SSD DCP-4800. It doesn't have a snappier name than that because it's an enterprise part, okay? 3D crosspoint is a form of memory that stores data based on the resistance of cells. It's not a memristor, according to Intel, but it does use resistance, and it can store at the bit level, not the sector level or the block level. The 375 gigabyte PCI Optane card starts at $1,520. It's in limited availability as of Sunday. There's also going to be a 750 gigabyte shipping in Q2 and a 1.5 terabyte version shipping in the second half of the year. So it'll get more available as the year goes on. 3D Crosspoint features 1/1000th latency on a NAND flash drive, over a NAND flash drive, while offering 10 times the density of DRAM. So you've got extremely low latency, even under a short queue, and 3D Crosspoint writes are non-destructive. So Intel's saying this should have higher endurance. There's been a lot of question about how long these drives will last. Intel's trying to say you can do 30 whole drive writes per day. Optane can be used as storage or a slower but more power efficient RAM, which is not the only, you can use NAND flash for RAM as well. In fact, Rich from Lovely Cleveland was telling us in Slack about a couple of products he's been following that do that, but it's not as fast. It's not as powerful as the 3D Crosspoint. 2-socket Xeon systems can hold 24 terabytes of Optane memory, and 4-socket systems can hold 48 terabytes. If you had the money, you could have 48 terabytes of almost DRAM quality RAM, as well as 48 terabytes of solid-state drive storage with super low latency.
How much would that be if you did have that money? How much money would you potentially have?
$1,520 for 375 gigabytes. So a lot.
A lot.
It's quite a bit, yeah.
Well, I am looking for a new Drobo replacement.
Yeah, I don't know if this is your thing. Not yet. The other thing Rich pointed out in our Slack discussion is this per gigabyte is about the same cost that solid-state drives, NAND flash, was in 2008.
God, so much cheaper.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, I mean, but you think about that. In 2008, flash drives were like, no, you can't afford to put that in your laptop. Forget it, right? And now all of our laptops have flash drives. So project 5-10 years down the road, we could be getting this kind of speed. It's not actually faster than NAND if you're writing sequentially or reading sequentially. If everything's in order on the drive, it's really fast in being able to find things that aren't right next to each other on the drive, which is something that servers have to deal with quite a bit.
Gotcha. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos climbed into the Method 2 mechanical robot at Amazon's annual Mars conference. Mars, in this case, stands for Machine Learning, Automation, Robotics, and Space Exploration. The robot is from the Hanuk Mirai technology and its designer, Vitaly Bulgarov. Do you want to pronounce that better, Tom?
Vitaly Bulgarov?
Did I say that right? What about the first one?
I say it pretty much the same. Now, that one I'm less. That's a Korean company. Hankook Mirai.
Hankook Mirai.
Sure.
Okay. The robot was shown to the press back in December 27th. The arms weigh 130 kilograms each, and it's twice as tall as a human. It's meant as a testbed for robots that could be made for manufacturing and construction, and of course, entertainment.
Yeah.
It will be ready for sale by the end of 2017 at a price of around 10 billion won, which is about 8.3 million.
So I'm not going to be picking one of these up. You're not going to be picking one of these up. It is fun to see Jeff Bezos, play the evil dictator with his robot arms held high above the crowd. But this is real. This thing works. I mean, that's the point of Bezos getting into it, is it gets a lot of people looking at it because it's Jeff Bezos, and they realize, oh, you can actually operate not an exoskeleton, but climb inside a robot and operate it. Like, this could, certainly show up in theme parks, I'm going to guess, but also possibly find some practical applications in manufacturing and construction, right?
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to be on their own giant mech?
Who wouldn't? I want to be in one of these. Don't you want to? Okay, it's not for your commute, but wouldn't you want to have one of these wouldn't you want to have the ability? Let's put it this way.
Tom, why are you limiting yourself by saying it's not for my commute? Why would you even say that?
Actually, in Los Angeles and San Francisco, it probably should be for your commute. Yeah. It's the only way to get to work.
It's the only way.
What is this thing? This thing is like 12 feet tall or more. And
what's its top speed? That's what I need to know.
Yeah, it's pretty slow. But you can go as the robot walks or the crow flies. You don't have to.
On top of cars. Just walk on top of the cars.
Property damage could be an issue. Yeah.
If you've got $8.3 million to throw around, it's not the biggest concern. Yeah, you're probably all right.
Insurance on this is going to be really.
Going to be a bitch.
No, but in all seriousness, like, don't you want to be able to say, oh, if I go to this place, I'll be able to climb into one of these things and walk around in it?
That is very cool. And, for people who are differently abled, like it could be an interesting way to get around. There's a lot of potential use cases.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of things you could do in that respect. I hadn't even thought about that. That's a great point. Finally, 2 employees of the Gallaudet University School for the Deaf filed a complaint that 20,000 videos of lectures hosted on the University of California, Berkeley's YouTube channels violated the Americans with Disabilities Act because the videos did not have captions. So they won the complaint. UC-Berkeley removed the videos. The Department of Justice upheld the complaint because UC is public funded. Anything that UC provides has to comply with the ADA. It didn't matter that they were putting it on YouTube. They're providing it. It has to comply with the ADA. However, UC-Berkeley didn't want to pay to add the captions to the 20,000 videos and maybe couldn't pay. That's a lot of videos. So they took them down. However, because they were Creative Commons licensed, several organizations, archive.org is among them, have been working to preserve the videos, and a new startup called lbry.io, I assume you pronounce it library, but it's spelled LBRY, says it has all the videos available now, though you'll need to use command line if you want to get at them right at this second. They have a product that is launching that won't require command line coming up in April, and Library, I had not heard of before this story, uses the blockchain and a peer-to-peer system to allow for publishing a la a YouTube and monetization where all the control is in the user's hands and they can't actually go in and remove content. They're trying to make an open platform that anybody can use to permanently publish video and still encrypt it and monetize it on their own if they want to. And so they're going to make this available for free. They're like, we're going to publish these on our platform for free. But because they don't have to pay for the storage and they use the blockchain for transparency, they will just always be out there. You'll always know that those videos are available as long as enough people are seeding into this system. So 2 stories here. One is the odd effect of enforcing the ADA.
Perhaps unintended consequences of that ruling.
There's probably another story in the fact that by licensing them Creative Commons, they freed them to be able to be preserved, which is good. And then there's the whole library thing and their blockchain peer-to-peer system. Where do you want to go first?
I really feel like when I first heard about this story the other day, I was like, that's probably what those employees were not intending to happen. I think they probably didn't think through the fact that they would need to pay to have those captions added, or maybe they thought it wouldn't be that big of a deal. I'm wondering why they couldn't have done some kind of like crowdsourcing for the caption adding, perhaps. I feel like I know that there's services out there that do those kinds of things. I mean, it's an awful lot of videos, though. That's a lot of people hours to go through and add the captioning there. But AI could assist in that also.
Yeah, we're just on the cusp of being able to have reliable transcription, voice to text. My guess is Berkeley looked at this and said we'd still have to pay someone to manage it, and because we have a complaint filed against us, it would have to really be right and good, or we run the risk of having a second complaint filed, and so we'd rather just not deal with the whole mess.
Yeah, but on the other hand, the library.io solution is super interesting. I need to learn more about, like, so really anyone can upload anything that's there forever, or I guess they can't really monitor the content because it's peer-to-peer.
Well, their proposition, if I'm getting it right from reading their website, is that they have a peer-to-peer system, so that things are not centrally hosted, and they have a whole mining, like, you know, a Bitcoin mining type culture where people are incentivized to get in there and seed the stuff. Mm-hmm. And then there's the blockchain aspect of it, which says, and you'll always know who it was that published it. So even though it's different than, say, a BitTorrent, where once a magnet link is out there, you can't do much about it, and you really don't know who put it out there. It'll be clear from the blockchain ledger who did it. Now, who can be masked in all kinds of ways as well, but there will be a responsible account, right? There will be a responsible record that's permanently in the blockchain and available for people to see. So their contention is that gets us past a lot of the problems with BitTorrent, where once it's out there, you may never be able to trace, or it's very difficult to trace who started putting something out there. So they don't think they'll have an intellectual property theft problem, but at the same time, they can't go in and just remove videos the way a centralized system like a YouTube can. And YouTube constantly is being accused of restricting videos in the wrong way, or removing videos, or deprioritizing videos. And so this is somewhat a response to that.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's really interesting. lbry.io. If any of the rest of you guys out there go in and play around with this and have some thoughts about it, send us an email, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. And if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in less than 10 minutes, subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. All right, it's a Fan Mail Monday. That works. That's got an alliteration because we got so many good emails from you guys over the weekend. Usually we don't get as many on the weekend, but we got a lot this weekend, probably in part because we did our analyst hangout. If you're a supporter of the show on Patreon, go to patreon.com/DTNS if you haven't already to get the link to us talking about the state of DTNS. It's one of the few Patreon posts that's available for anybody, even if you're not backing the Patreon, so you can go there and get that as well. Starting off, the idea of whether the internet is a human right. This kicked off with our story about India, the state of Kerala, providing free Wi-Fi and declaring the internet a human right. Mohan wrote, I wanted to give my thoughts a submission of mine. Kerala's declaring Wi-Fi as a basic human right is a good thing. Nowadays, we do so many things on the internet. For example, we order pizza, transfer funds, keep in contact, let our friends and family know we're safe during a natural disaster, set up demonstrations, etc. It has made us closer together at times when physically and geographically we are not. It might not be as important as running water or electricity, but it has become something that many of us rely on for work, entertainment, information, and at times a means of making money. And then Kimberly, the Texas teacher, wrote a long, thoughtful email to us about this. And I just want to excerpt this part. She says, it isn't about a book or the internet. It's about access to knowledge. We in the developed countries tend to see the internet as a place to buy things, play games, chat with friends from all over. But there's so much knowledge out there for people to gain. What about people that live in isolated areas, not just in developing nations, but parts of Australia, Alaska, Canada, and other countries with very isolated places? I lived in West Texas. Some of the very small population areas couldn't field a six-man football team, but the districts would get together and offer advanced classes over distance learning systems. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a really, really good point about the internet may not be a human right per se, but is access to knowledge a human right? And does access to the internet then play into that?
I actually sometimes feel overwhelmed by the amount of knowledge that is on the internet. Like if I think about all the things I want to learn, it's literally a search query away. Like it's unbelievable the things that you can teach yourself if you have the will and desire, and free too. I mean, this isn't just like paid subscription services that you can sign up for and take classes. This is like open information that is out there, you know, as part of Creative Commons or just, you know, made available to people who want to learn this stuff. And it's mind-boggling sometimes. And it does feel very unfair to have that available only to people who can afford to pay for internet service.
Or even if they could afford to pay for a certain amount of internet service, just not having the service, right? Mm-hmm. It's not available anyway. So I still don't think the internet is a human right yet, that as I have been saying on the past few shows. But Kimberly definitely made me stop and think, like, access to information should be a human right, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you already have to pay for the most of the time, I mean, there are ways to do these things on the cheap, like going to your local library or, whatever it takes, but that's not available to everyone, like she was saying, in certain remote places. But you have to pay for the device, you have to pay for the service, you have to pay for the subscriptions. There's so many barriers to accessing that potentially free information.
Yeah. And defining it as access to information being a human right makes it future proof, right? At some point, it's hard to conceive. The internet might not be a thing. There might be some other way that we access information in the future that's better than the internet. And I don't know what that is, but the human right probably should be to food, water, shelter, protection from the elements, and maybe access to information to help you do all of those things.
Speaking of things that you can access on the internet, last week we mentioned Netflix. They're changing from the star ratings to thumbs up or down and adding a percentage likelihood that you'll like a movie or a show. Jordan says one thing that most people don't realize about Netflix is that even the 5-star rating they show you today is just an estimate of how much they think you'll like the show or movie based on your other ratings. Is that true? Wow.
Yeah, I forgot that, but he's right.
So then why did I... okay, hold on to that thought.
Okay.
So in addition to getting more people to rate things by changing to a thumbs up, thumbs down model, the percentage they plan to introduce is also an easy way for them to keep exactly what's already there, but just present it in a different way so customers view it in a different context. For example, whatever algorithm they currently have, which chooses 4 out of 5 stars, could simply be presented as, we're 80% confident you'll like this thing, without changing a single thing about how their algorithm works. Smart. So
yeah.
I don't, how does that even work though? Because I was on it the other day, and the rating for the new Amy Schumer special was 2 out of 5 stars. But I don't see how that's possible, because I love all her stuff and I love comedy specials, and I almost never rate anything.
Well, there you go. It's the last one that's the problem,
That I don't
right?
rate things.
Yeah, so it's going on what it knows that you have rated and what it knows that you've watched. And I know that my Netflix ratings are probably a mess because I went on a big rating binge back when I used the DVD service. So a lot of my ratings are really old now.
I did that too. You're right. I rated everything from the DVDs.
So they're like 10 years old. And then for the longest time, we had a unified profile on Netflix streaming. So everything I was watching is really under Eileen's account until they created profiles, in which case I went in and then created my own account. I don't think that account has access to the ratings I made back in the day, but maybe it does. I don't know. And then and that's a partial history just based on the last few years since they created profiles. So it's just not a very good picture of what I like at this point.
I just got such a flashback to rating things on the old Netflix site. I haven't done that in ages.
Yeah. No, I used to do it with the DVDs all the time. And I would go and I would rate things that I knew I had seen, even if I hadn't got the DVD through Netflix. But I don't do that anymore. Maybe this thumbs up, thumbs down change will make me do that more often. It does seem to have that effect in the tests that they've run. But yeah, I had forgotten that the star ratings are supposed to be a guess at what they think you'll think based on what they know about you and what the general populace has been saying. And so expressing that as a percentage does make more sense to me. Because now instead of I look at the stars and I still think, even though I knew better, oh, that's the general rating. Whereas a percentage will be like, they're that sure that I will like it. And that means more.
Right.
We talked a lot about Uptime last week. That's the app from YouTube that lets people in different places watch videos at the same time. Trenton writes, me and my friends watch a weekly science news show together, Sundays at 8 p.m. Sometimes it's only 2 people. Sometimes there are 6 or more. The point is we all love to get together and celebrate science news and talk about it together. And we use a website called Watch Together. It syncs our YouTube stream and has a comment section on the side. I understand this is very niche, but it allows us to share the things we love with each other.
Oh, that does sound fun. That's really sweet.
Yeah. When he was talking about that, I immediately started thinking about This Week in Science with Dr. Kiki and how, people probably do that with Dr. Kiki as well. And then it made me think, people do that with Daily Tech News Show every day at diamondclub.tv. They all watch together on the web, synced up. Although that's a live broadcast. A little bit, I guess, slight bit different, I guess.
I think it's going to change when they change all the Google Hangout stuff. Do you know what's going to happen with that yet?
I feel fairly confident about that because they moved Hangouts on Air into YouTube. So with changing all the Hangout stuff, now Hangouts on Air is not really part of Hangouts anymore, even though it's still got that name.
It's like YouTube Live stuff.
I kind of wish they'd just change it to YouTube on Air or YouTube Quick Stream or some crazy name like that.
Totally. Last week, you all were talking in the post show about a concierge service that would manage everyone's communication between all the different platforms. This got Tim thinking. He writes, if only there was a standard where a service run by Microsoft could talk to a service run by Google. Okay, that is being slightly cynical, but as someone who really enjoys a good open standard, email really was the best. Google runs an email service. They have an app like Gmail with a, quote, value add on top of the email standards. Microsoft run an email service. They have an app like Outlook with a value add on top of email, but both services can speak to each other. As always, XKCD has the perfect comic for everything.
Yeah, he is not the only person to send me this after we had that conversation where I was saying, I just want one thing that I say I want to tell this person, and it gets it to that person based on what they use. And of course, the XKCD comic is got Slack, SMS, Hangouts, email, ICQ, Telegram, the Apache request log. I like that the Apache request log and AIM are both on here, but they're self-contained circles that don't overlap with anybody else. Email is the right way to think about it. I think that we missed a boat somewhere, probably starting with Instant Messenger, when we didn't create a protocol to handle that. And granted, SMS is that protocol on mobile for carriers, but it really isn't meant to work over the internet. And it's all kludges that make it do that, which causes the issues that we have where it's like, well, I'm on iMessage, so I can't actually get your message unless you send it by SMS, but then it's going to appear different. So some of the things you can do with SMS, but it is a standard where people add something on top of it as a value add. I wish there was just a messaging protocol. I mean, Open Whisper Systems is sort of that if everybody took advantage of it, and it's super secure on top of it. But one where everybody could interact with each other based on their address, not what app they were using.
Right.
Finally, a couple of thoughts about our discussion of Microsoft disallowing Windows 10 from running on older processors. Thinis said, support for Kaby Lake started to appear in the Linux kernel 4.4. Ryzen is only fully supported in Linux kernel 4.1. 4.1 also fixed a couple of bugs that hobbled Kaby Lake performance. Now, to drive this point home, Ubuntu 10.04 LTS Lucid Links was the rave at the time that Windows 7 shipped with Linux kernel 2631, but that operating system will probably look at you and say WTF if presented with these new processors. So here's the thing. If you want support for the latest hardware in Linux, you need to run the latest version of Linux. Same is now true for Windows. I really don't see the issue here. If you need to run Windows 7, Skylake is fully supported and you'll still be able to buy machines running that generation for some time. Then Brian Halley, MCPA+, wrote in and said, in regards to Microsoft not supporting Windows 7, 8, and 8.1 on newer processors, it's creating a real nightmare for businesses with specialty in-house applications that have not been updated to run on Windows 10. It's locking them into either having to maintain older hardware in order to be able to function or running a virtual environment to run the older operating system to support the software. Case in point, our bank check scanning app only runs under Windows 7. So I set up a virtual machine player with Windows 7 just to run this one app so we can scan our checks for upload. It has made it easier when positions change to just move the VM so that it's an added benefit, but what Microsoft is doing can and will have an adverse effect in PC sales.
Those are really good comments.
Yeah, and I think, Thinis, to your point, it's a great point that if you're using older hardware, you're using older software and older hardware, you can't expect the support to last forever. But there's a difference between what happens with Linux, which is, older version of Ubuntu is just not going to know what to do with this newer hardware, versus Windows disallowing it. Whereas, you could run it, it just won't run very well. Microsoft is just saying you can't run it. Even if you could make it run it, we're just not going to allow it, even if you have a workaround that would work, which makes Brian's job harder.
Right, exactly.
Well, thanks to everybody who sent us emails and made this show a good discussion. And thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit and helps us to figure out what stories to talk about every day. You can vote on them all at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. And of course, thank you, Veronica Belmont, as always. What you got going on to tell folks about?
Oh, let's see. This week on Sword and Laser, we're having author Brian McClellan on to talk about his new book, Sins of Empire. That'll be on
Your
Wednesday.
Sword and Laser voice?
That's my Sword and Laser voice. Yes.
Yeah, that was great having Brian on. And he does the Powder Mage series, and it's not just a Powder Mage trilogy now; it's a whole Powder Mage universe. So
It's a universe.
yeah, you want to find that out. And of course, there's the brief thing on the recent Sword and Laser about my novel Pilot X. In case you're interested in hearing.
I think we should interview that author of that great new novel. He's been doing the rounds.
Yeah. He's busy though.
He's super busy.
Yeah. I have an in with him though, so maybe we hook you up. Thanks to everybody who gives a little value back for the value they get from this show, including Ryan Johnson, Angela Caruso, Caden Olweiler, and many more at patreon.com/DTNS and all the different ways at dailytechnewsshow.com/support. If you haven't joined them, please do. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Patrick Beja. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
All right. There's no Roger to read the titles. Whatever will we do?
I will help you.
We've got the LBRY of progress. Do you have them up?
Now you see it. Now you don't.
Ah. Now you see
Netflix is all
UC-Berkeley.
thumbs.
Oh, I get it. Netflix is all thumbs is good too.
Yeah.
How
Picking nits over Netflix picks.
Uber management in need of supervision. Wow, I like a lot
Slim
of these.
pickings today. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not as many total submissions, but there's a couple of really good ones in here.
My vote is for Netflix is all thumbs.
Yeah, that one's good. Now you see it, now you don't, though, is pretty good too.
It's pretty good too.
And it's a newer topic.
Yeah, that's right. You already covered Netflix.
Yeah, that was a response.
Library of Progress is pretty good too.
Which one?
Library of Progress.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't decide.
Keep voting. I'm levelating.
Keep voting, 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 voting. Come on, keep voting, 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 voting. Library of Progress is taking a firm lead.
I want to get a big robot.
Too bad. Do better on Patreon.
I know. I have to be CEO of Amazon, apparently.
Well, to be fair, I don't even think he owns it.
No, he doesn't. That was just a fun thing to do at his big old "We Do Space Things" conference. I mean, that's a conference you should go to. It's machine learning, robotics. Like, I'm stretching to make it so that you could go and then get in that robot.
Oh, that's all. That's all you're going for.
The machine learning thing's legit, though.
Totally.
All right. I'm important. Not important.
I was like, oh, you're important, are you?
I'm so important. I'm importing. That gets weird if you're not careful. And I'm exporting. That's what we do. I import so that I can export.
That's how it works.
It's the circle of life. 320. Okay. Oh, shoot. I rebooted. So now I have to type in everything. Tom Merritt.
Oh, my God.
What are we picking? What's the title?
Let's see. It looks like Netflix is all thumbs.
All right. I'm fine with that, actually. It's a good one.
We talked about it for a bit.
Yeah. It's legit. It works. Netflix is all thumbs.
Today's the first day of spring. It sure doesn't feel like it.
Is it really?
Guess so.
Oh, I thought-
Facebook
oh,
and
wow.
Twitter are both telling me.
I guess they're right. It's March. I always think of March 21st, but it kind of moves around. It's generally.
Oh, this month is going by too fast. I have 2 big projects I have to finish
This
by the end of the
year
month.
is going by.
I know.
We're almost to the end of Q1. I
know.
have had this new basement floor for longer, for the majority of Q1.
I don't know what that means. Did you get a new floor?
Yeah, no. Remember when my basement flooded?
No. Was I out that week?
Maybe. Did you miss that whole thing?
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I had to do my show from upstairs for a week.
Oh my God. No, I must have been out that week.
Yeah, the basement flooded and they had to rip out all the carpet and put in tile.
Oh, that
That
sucks.
was at the end of January. It's the same week Django died. It's an
Oh,
awful week.
bad week.
Yeah. But now we have a new floor. I don't know.
Yay.
Yay. It's fine. It made me clean up down here. It's a little nicer now.
That's good. For now.
For now.
Yeah.
The export. Was the old sport coat retired? No, the old sport coat was not retired. It's right over here in the old chair. I actually wore this the day. Which day? I can't remember who the guest was that day. But yeah, the old sport coat's there. I'll wear it from time to time as the mood strikes.
The old sports coat.
The old sport coat. You know, I wanted to rotate. I've got like a couple others in the closet that I used to pull out from time to time. But Bezos did do a Ripley quote. Lau Roman asked about that. He said, "Why do I feel?" He didn't do a Ripley quote, but he said, "Why do I feel like Sigourney Weaver?" While he was in the robot.
Oh, okay. That's cute.
And it doesn't make sense, Veronica.
What?
Why does he feel? I mean, it's very obvious. Why? Did he not really know?
I'm
He
looking
should've
at a
just
video
said-
of a pig wearing pajamas. Sorry.
What is this? The internet circa 2005?
Esther the Wonder Pig. She has a little
Pig
hat
wearing
on.
pajamas.
Well, she's wearing, it's like her winter gear. She's wearing a little hat with ears and,
But it's the first day of
Coat.
spring. Shouldn't she be changing?
well, it's still cold where she lives,
Yeah, all right.
I guess.
Yeah, it's not Memorial Day. You can't wear white yet.
Right. All right. I'm going to go now.
All
Is that
right.
okay?
Yes, of course. Have a good day. Thanks again.
Okay. I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye. Back to work for Veronica Belmont. And I'll hang out a little bit longer while I finish up this posting and chat with the chat room. If you, and a few people have asked me this and I've told them directly, but if you're like wondering how to watch live, you're watching this later and you're like, wait a minute, I always hear about this live stuff. How does one do that? The way one does that is to go to diamondclub.tv at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. That's what I say at the end of every show, but some people miss it. And there's a chat room there. So you can just pop out the chat and start chatting away right in there. Or, yes, Beatmaster, I did. Or you can go to irc.chatrealm.net and get it either in a browser or in your IRC client of choice, which case you can then listen live as well on alphageekmedia.com and actually on diamondclub.fm too. So if you can't handle the video, you can do it that way. Alpha Geek Media feeds into TuneIn Radio, so you can listen live that way. There's all kinds of ways to enjoy the show as I record it. Just a matter of doing it, if you like. And I didn't mention it today, but I'm really enjoying the Anchor FM app stuff. And so if any of you guys haven't tried it out yet, I know not every single one of you has liked it, but largely it's gotten a pretty good response. And if you go listen to Daily Tech Headlines in there, you can send in calls, and then I can play them back in the app and answer questions in there too. So trying to come up with lots of different ways to bring you the benefits of all of this tech news reading we do. All right. Cyanide ended up finding the cord killer's address. Yeah, there's actually a bunch of IRC addresses. Easier chat is diamondclub.tv/chat. Thank you, BioCat. That's actually a lot easier to remember, so people don't have to remember chat wrong. IRC or diamondclub.tv/chat. Boom. Done. All right. I'm embedding. Play-by-play. Play-by-play. Cut and paste. High quality television. Let me tell you. And this is the part where if I'm distracted by Roger and our guest having a great conversation, I will accidentally put the headlines link into the blog because I'm not paying attention. Right now, I'm looking at the link and it says Netflix is all thumbs. So I'm not about to accidentally post the headlines link into the blog. Instead, I'm posting the link to the episode we just did into the blog. And now I am publishing it. And that's published. Yeah, Strike It Rich. No Roger today. He's off. He'll be back tomorrow, though. And there we go. And that's how you post a podcast. And as long as I don't hear from Curtis or somebody that it's all messed up, then I think I'll be fine. Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. I know it's a little shorter post show today, unless you want me to do a reading. Dare I? You can always turn this off. Only after the rather stunned Ambassador Uwe had contacted Pilot X to confirm what was being proposed did Verity open its door again, and only after an official Alendan ambassadorial team and a Progon envoy arrived and were confirmed safely on Pantoon did Pilot X release the pod. And only after all that was done had he tended to Economist Rex. Still, he supposed the Economist had missed all that, and in his mind, Pilot X had probably got rid of the Censarion and raced him back to Elenda in safety. The Economist had not yet been brought up to speed on events, and the Doctor had warned Pilot X not to bring it up quite yet. What is that all about? You'll just have to pick up Pilot X and read it to find out. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.